Hello everyone, and welcome back to Jesse Hecht Creative. Today we're going over the 7 Koopalings of Bowser's Army with action figures by Jakks Pacific. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. Now let's get to it. Speed running through all these Koopas, let's start off with Larry Koopa. I love the gradient of his hair over here as well as his shell. It looks very awesome. There's also a star on the back of his cheek. His orange scepter ties in really nicely with the figure and adds some great contrast, as does the green on his head and the yellow throughout his body. These little spike things are cute too. And his head can articulate a little bit, as well as the wand can go in and out of his hand, and he can articulate his arms around a little bit. I love this guy, he's very adorable. And here's Larry standing next to Mario at about 3 inches tall or so. Wendy Koopa is probably my least favorite Koopaling here. I really do love the character design, but it just screams girl to me, and it's way too in your face. The figure also has a really bad time standing compared to its 4-inch counterpart, and that's kind of awful. Also, what is with the gray on this? It's just too much. And the lips and the bangles are huge. What did she steal those rings from Sonic or something? She doesn't really have that much articulation either. Her head doesn't swivel at all. The arms do swivel and the wand goes in and out of her hand, but really this is kind of a pass for me. She could barely stand too. And here's Wendy Koopa standing next to Mario at about 2¼ to 2½ inches tall or so. Here is Morton Koopa Jr., and now I'm wondering who Morton Koopa Sr. is. I don't know, maybe that's Bowser's real name and Bowser's a nickname? This guy is hefty, beefy, and has a great amount of balance. I love the color scheme on him, gray on black on white, with a little bit of tan here and there, and the red for his mouth and the scepter fits so well. I love the silhouette too, the beefy shell, his sort of eyebrow looking thing, as well as a tuft of hair is so nice, and that shell is beefy. And his magic wand over here is no slouch. It's red and looks very imposing and pretty scary. And for articulation, the wand can go in and out a little bit of his hand. His hand can swivel at least, and this wrist part can swivel, I believe, too, as well as his arms can go up and down. He's nice and pretty versatile. And here's Mario next to Morton Koopa Jr. standing at about, I would say, 2½ to 2¾ inches tall, maybe 3 inches or so if you're counting the head or the tuft of hair. Lemmy Koopa is one of the more unique Koopalings in that he came alone without the ball and with the ball in different sets. He's one of my favorites. Let's talk about him. I love the wide face on him, the very small statured body, the huge wand he carries, and that mohawk is amazing. More like a rainbow hawk in a way. It's just great with this little tuft of hair coming out of the back. He's a rebel. I like him a lot. The orange shell as well as the orange equal sign on his cheek is pretty cute and fun. And I just think he's great all around with a striking design, but that's not all about him. Lemmy can swivel his head around as well as move the wand up and down. He can swivel each wrist over here as well as swivel the arms up and down and also swivel on the peg on the ball. It's just great. And the ball itself is round except for a peg on top and a hole on the bottom we'll see later, but this is really nicely done with the stars on them. It's so greatly detailed and matches with the yellow and orange on Lemmy. And there's also a little peg at the bottom you can put it into with this stand. It looks very nice and works out super well. You're gonna have a ball with this guy. Here's Mario staying next to Lemmy and the ball, with Lemmy at about 2¼ inches tall or so, and the ball being at about 1¾ inches tall or so. And here's Mario standing next to Lemmy on the ball at about 4 inches tall or so. To me, Iggy Koopa is one of the best Koopalings out there, but in this action figure form, he's a disgrace. I love how long he is, the palm tree hair, the nerdy glasses, the length of his body, and the purple on his shell are just amazing. He may be the tall, nerdy Koopa, but I do find he always has some kind of weird mechanical trap or thing he's built. It's just great. And the yellow tip on his wand is pretty cool as well. His articulation really isn't that great. You can move this arm around, and you can also move this up and down, and his head can't really move at all, and this moves in and out of his hand, but really, what is there to do with this guy? You can also get Iggy to stand in this way by having the wand support his weight. Just be careful with that. And you can also twist his wrist. I figured out the articulation just now on that. It's pretty cool. I mean, the stand doesn't even work at all, so what can you do with Iggy? Put him in a clown car, of course. Finally, everything comes together. The hunched posture is him bending over the side, trying to get a shot at Mario with his wand. And the outstretched arm to the side is him steadying himself as he tries to rock back and forth the movement of the clown car. Putting Iggy in a clown car really takes this figure up to 11, and you don't even need the stand for this guy. He just stands pretty well when balanced really nicely. It's super great. And as a bonus, even the clown car green matches his green, so it works really well. I wish they made more of these rims in different colors and these helicopter blades in different colors for each Koopaling. That'd be great. And while trying to pose him standing without the stand, I figured out you can actually twist his wrist a little bit here, which works out, as well as this doesn't really twist at all, sadly, but it's still pretty cool. And here's Iggy standing next to Mario at about 3¼ inches taller, so. And Bowser, of course, is the boss of all these Koopalings, actually the final boss of the game. I really love the red shock of hair, and the shell looks like it's floating off his body, kind of. This figure's just great. I mean, look at that shell. It's amazing with all those spikes. Even his tail has spikes, and those little bracelets he wears have spikes. It's awesome. I've really come around to loving this figure. It looks so nice and very on model with the character. And we're gonna see more Koopalings in Bowser's Army right after this. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching so far. Make sure to click like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and hit the bell icon for more creativity. Now let's get back to it. And finally, Roy Koopa. Roy is one of the hardest Koopalings to get, coming out in March of 2020, and we all know what happened then. And ever since, he has never been seen anywhere except on online resellers for an insane markup. Roy has never been my favorite Koopaling, but he's always been weird, but not in a Larry way, just weird in a kind of cool way. I love the colors of this, the red, the purple, the tan, they're all great on the shell. The pure black magic wand, the sunglasses, the pink, he's just kind of his own guy. He's his own thing. It's very strange. He's not an outlier. He reminds me of Spike. He's just weird in his own way. He reminds me of a walrus with those big fangs. Yeah, they're just interesting, and he's kind of like Morton, but not really. He's just strange, that's all. The wand doesn't really fit in the hand that well, and I didn't know that till I got this guy in hand. He does swivel over here, though, as well as go up and down on this side, and swivels as well over here. The head doesn't move, and the legs don't move. It's alright. For the pretty penny I paid for this, it isn't really worth it, but it's great to see the Koopalings complete at least. And here is Roy Koopa standing next to Mario at last at about, I would say, 2¼ inches taller, so. Ludwig von Koopa is the last, and he derives the most from his musical inspiration. In fact, all the Koopalings are named after musicians, this one being Ludwig von Beethoven. That large blue tuft of hair is great. I love how it looks on this figure. It shines really brightly under the light, and the blue and orange and tan look great for the shell. It's awesome. Blue is this guy's theme, down to it being on his scepter. It's weird to have a Koopaling that's so color coordinated. It's just strange to me. Ludwig being one of the last Koopalings you fight, he's usually the toughest and probably most fun in some cases. And while his head can't articulate at all, it looks like his hair can, though. You can move the wand up and down. You can swivel this over here on his wrist, and up and down on this arm, and up and down on this arm, and a swivel with the wrist over there. And here's Mario standing next to Ludwig at about 2¼ inches taller, so. And here are all the Koopalings side by side. We have Larry Koopa, Wendy O. Koopa, Morton Koopa Jr., Lemmy Koopa, Iggy Koopa, Roy Koopa, and Ludwig von Koopa. This is a childhood Christmas wish list dream come true. I Christmas wish listed these guys decades ago, and finally, they're here. Thanks, Santa Bowser. Overall, Koopalings for a Koopa King. The Koopalings are some of my favorite bosses in Mario history, and I love them all so much. I'm incredibly grateful to finally get these characters all together as figures, and it's just amazing to see. And while I do love these figures as a collective, I gotta say, some of these figures aren't so great and some of these are awesome. Ludwig is fine, I guess, and Wendy's probably one of the worst here. Lemmy is one of the best here with that ball. Larry is pretty middle of the road, and Roy is too, considering his high price point. And with a little bit of kit-bashing ingenuity, despite the fact that Iggy can't really stand at all, that Koopa clown car is coming in handy so much with this figure. And Morton is great. He's just a big chunky ball of plastic. I love him. If you're a fan of Super Mario Bros., Jakks Pacific Figures, or the Koopalings in general, then you'll love these figures. What are you waiting for? Get them all. But if you can't, and I totally understand about Roy, I would highly recommend just picking a few of the figures you like and ditching the ones you don't. But make no mistake, to get Roy Koopa, you're gonna need that Koopaling bling. So which Koopaling here is your favorite? Ludwig, Wendy, Lemmy, Larry, Roy, Iggy, or Morton? Or Bowser? Bowser Jr.? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching Jesse Hecht Creative. Make sure to click like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. You can also visit us at jessehechtcreative.com for more reviews like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and keep being creative. Stay tuned.